Hey! So you've seen Spirit and now you want a horse. Or your kid wants a horse. What do you do? Where do you go to get one? Dreamhorse.com. It's a real website. You can try to start there. Craigslist. You can get horses everywhere. At the auction, it depends. You could find a treasure at the auction. You could find a piece of crap at the auction. Anyways, horses cost a lot of money. Do not get a horse if you do not have the money to invest in it. It needs to go to the farrier every 8 weeks at least for a trim. More frequently, depending on how you ride or use your horse, or how bad their feet are. You can kind of Nutrition has a lot to do with how good their feet are. So as long as they're properly nutritionified, their feet will turn out great. So that being said, you need land, you need space. Horses are big creatures. They need room to move and run and kick and do horsey things. So what you're gonna need is at least half an acre of land for your horse to play in. If you don't have any land, you need to find some. At least a 12 by 12 box stall. At least a 12 by 12 box stall. 16 by 16 is way better. 20 by 20 is great. I have personal experience dealing in horses since 1998. It's 2018 now. So I don't ride as much as I know horses from the ground. They have a lot to say. They are so communicative. If only we understand their body language. Their ears tell us a lot what they're listening to. If they're mad, they pin them back like this and they go. Anyways, horses, they talk a lot. They're just silent talkers. So you have to listen to them and learn their language. Let's see. If you're not going to the farrier, the farrier is coming to you, then the vet is going to come to you. The vet has to come out at least twice a year to deworm it, maybe more, depends. Then you also need to make sure that it gets exercise. If you have a cooped up horsey, he's going to be very hyper like a racehorse. Not good. Very anxious. Not good. Racehorses are a completely different, they're completely different racehorses because they're only 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 years old usually, and they live a different lifestyle. So if you're looking into rescuing a retired racehorse that is only 6 or 7 years old, that's perfect. That's wonderful. I love that. Rehome him. It's good. You can use him as a jumping eventer, maybe, depending on how broken he is, because they ran him so hard. They run on their little middle fingers. You look up the evolution of a horse, and instead of running like this, they run like this on their little toes. So you figure out the physics of that with carrying a person on your back. It gets hard. I love horses. Let's see. I used to take care of 60 horses. That's a lot of horses. For 4 years, I took care of 60 horses. Feed them. They eat lots of hay or grass. If you're not having your horse graze for 12 hours a day, you need to feed it at least twice a day a cup of flakes. Flakes are the portions that come off when you break open a hay bale. It's usually 2 flakes in the morning and 2 flakes at night. Grain supplements, depending on energy needs. Minerals, it depends on everything. You just keep your horse healthy. It'll be in a good mood. You'll be in a good mood. You'll be able to go farther. Competitions, shows, depending on how much money, depending on what your interests are, you could go on the trail. I like trail riding. Personally, if I can ride a horse without a saddle and without a bridle, that's great. Yeah. The youngest horse I've tried that on was a 4-year-old. His name was Moon. He's a little pony of America. Breeds determine personality, I've noticed a lot. In my 20 years of experience, if you have an Arabian or a thoroughbred, you're going to have a different horse than a quarter horse, say, or a cold-blooded draft, perhaps like a Clydesdale. There's so many different breeds. Research the breeds before you get a horse. Find out which one is going to work for your lifestyle, because the bigger the horse, the more food it eats. The way of life. Let's see, what else do they do? You can breed horses. Breeding is really fun. They're pregnant for like 11 months and they have big babies. Of course, they're horses. They're going to have big babies. Mothers' horses get very protective over their babies. It doesn't matter who you are. The mom is going to want to keep herself between you and her baby. There's you over there and there's her baby over here. She's going to want to be right here. So you've got to have a real relationship established. How do you get a real relationship established with your horse? You're going to want one whether or not you're breeding or not. How do you establish the relationship with your horse? You free lunge it a lot. You lunge it. Lunging means to keep it attached to a rope, running in a circle. About 20 feet, 40 feet, 20 feet. It depends on how big your horse is going to want to go. You're going to want to look up lunging cues and how well they're listening to you. And they're going to want to do that, with your licking and chewing. Body language, horses, communication, bonding goes a long way. What else? Sleep, eat, play, exercise. They're smart. They're really smart. You got to watch those locks on the gate. They can do those types of locks. You're going to want to chain the lock shut. Halter. Make sure your horse is comfortable with you throwing on the halter any which ways. There's so much I can go into horses. Main points are you feed it enough, give it enough space, give it proper love and respect. Horses demand a lot of respect. They are 10 times as heavy as you. Remember that. Also, assert your dominance. Just because you're 6 years old and you've got this 1,200-pound horse does not mean you cannot control it. Assert your dominance. I love asserting dominance. Horses are great. You can use them for a lot of things. Transportation, pleasure, competition. I don't like to use horses. There's a difference between using horses and being a teammate with your horse. Look up Temple Grandin. She's great. I love Temple Grandin. I guess that's it. Join us again for another animal next time.